Welcome everyone to the call today. Very exciting to have Franklin with Pegasus, one of our premier products in Agora. What's exciting about this goes with those that are selling websites. And once you do have a website, getting traffic to it, we always talk about if you have a website and it looks really good and it's got great conversion and everything on there. But if you don't have any traffic going to it, it's no better than a billboard being out in the desert. So last week we covered about paid traffic, and that's how you get, you pay for pay-per-click or Facebook or LinkedIn or Bing to drive traffic to it. But one thing that's very important is SEO. And SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization. And with that, this is really important for a business owner because they don't have to pay per click, which can save them thousands of dollars throughout the course of a year and get them a lot more exposure. And when they get the top spot on Agora under the search terms, that they can get 33% of all click-throughs on there. So the whole goal is to get the client high up on the search engines, and SEO plays a really important role with that. So that's why we want to let you guys know more about this product. So with that, Franklin, we're very appreciative of all you do, and we have some unique things here. He's going to go into detail about some of the unique things that we have here at Agora, and then also the video if you would like someone to find out where they're placed at. I just recently sold one of these, and one of the selling points was because we can show them where they're at, and we'll get into those details. So with that, Franklin, no further ado, welcome to the call.
Well, thanks, Vince. I appreciate it. And so, yeah, let's just jump right in. So right now we're looking at the your Agora dashboard, and so what we're going to be talking about today is to get your website on top of Google. And I'm just going to click into that, and I'll come back. Now, the first thing I want to just mention is that there's people out there that will say, we guarantee we'll get you to the top of Google on the first page. If anyone says they guarantee it, run as fast as they can. Because basically, we're like stockbrokers, right? You're paying me to invest your money and get your return. And if a stockbroker said, I guarantee I'll make you $1 million by the end of the week, you're going to run because you know that it's a scam. It's just not possible. Google is constantly, and Google is just, we're going to talk mostly Google today. Obviously, there's other search engines out there, but they drive a fraction of the traffic of Google. And Google has a lot of programmers working day to day on their search algorithms, right? So agencies like ours, we're always trying to figure out what is Google doing, what are they changing, how do we then optimize it so that our clients can get results. So again, if anyone says they guarantee, just run as fast as you can. So what we, and I'll get back to this in a little bit, what we do is we do a month-to-month service, and we report at the end of every month, and we show the return that we're getting on it. And I have clients who have been with me 10 years, and they're paying month to month, and they could cancel anytime they want. But that you got to show results. So let's jump in, and let's first of all. So I'll come back to this in a little bit, but sleep apnea clinic, right? So let's do sleep apnea Beaverton. If I'm searching for a service or a product, I'm going to search in Google, and typically what Google's going to do is they're going to come up with paid advertisement at the top. Let me see if I can find one here. Like here's the advertisement here, and then you have, this is what's called Google My Business. Used to be called, or Google Places. It used to be called Google Local. It goes by a variety of names, but typically there'll be 3, maybe 4. Like in this particular case, there's 4. Sometimes they'll show 4. And then they have, so this would be considered organic listings here as well. Paid traffic we discussed in our last webinar. This is not organic. And so the Google Local or Google Places or Google My Business this is considered organic listings. So you want to be at least in the top 3 here. And then you want to be on the first page here as close to the top as you can get. Now what you'll notice too is a lot of your first listings usually come in with Yelp, or they'll come in with these bigger search directories, Yelp, TripAdvisor, Angie's List, those kind of things. So, and so here's, and I'll come back to this as an example here. So you really want to dominate. So even if you're doing paid traffic, you want to show it up in paid traffic. You want to show up like here. This Walker Road is one of my clients here in Beaverton, And you can see here they're number 3 on this particular listing here, and then they're the 5th one down, so middle of the first page. And so you want to, so that's, if you can get those 3 going, now the people are going to see you 3 times, and you're going to have a much higher chance of them clicking on you. So that's the value of search engine optimization, is to be seen in multiple places on that first page, in addition to paid traffic, so that you can dominate your competition. And search engine optimization, just a quick history. SEO has really become a 4-letter word to a lot of businesses because they've been burned. Because there is a lot of black box stuff that goes on with a lot of companies. And, so people throw in their money, they hope the companies are doing something, and they hope they're getting results. When we report on a monthly basis, we show you behind the scenes what's going on in those black boxes, what we're doing, where we've had success, where we've not had success, because it's continually changing. Some weeks we're up, some weeks we're down, just like stocks. But like with a good stockbroker, they're going to get you that consistent increase over time, and that's what we do with SEO. Going back to the history, it used to be really, really easy. 10, 15 years ago, you'd go in, you change some of your tags on your website, and boom, you pop up to the top. Then that kind of fizzled out. Then it was a matter of backlinks. Backlinks, in a nutshell, are links from other sites to yours. And it used to be you just throw out a bunch of backlinks because the most backlinks won, because that would tell Google that you're important. Well, that doesn't work anymore. And we'll cover backlinks in just a little bit. So now there's a combination of things that go on with search engine optimization. So what we do, first of all, is we start with figuring out how people are searching for your business. Right? And we've got a number of tools. This is just one of them. And I wanted to show you this one because this is a client that I've been working with a couple of years now. He's a disability lawyer, and we had a lot of problems with Social Security disability because, as you see, here's a very generic one, benefits. So you got to figure out if someone is looking for a disability or Social Security disability attorney, what would they say? And so this is what's called a short tail term. It's very generic. You can see there's a lot of searches, but this could be anything. This could be somebody searching for a Social Security office. It could be for a lawyer. It could be how to do it themselves. We don't really know. So what we're looking for is more what are called long tail keywords that give us an indication of the intent. We want to know what the intent is. Now, if someone's here benefits, they're probably not looking for an attorney. Application, it sounds like they're trying to do it their own. Login, obviously, they're not looking for a lawyer. Phone number, obviously. So we want to make sure. Now here you go. Social Security disability lawyers. So we want to make sure we're not targeting these keywords because they're useless to us. So whether we're doing paid traffic or search engine optimization, we want to make sure that we've got. So here, if someone's typing in Social Security disability lawyers, that has intent behind it, and that's what we want to capture. So what we do is we figure out what are all the keywords with intent that are relevant to the business, and then we figure out how hard. Like this tool will tell me, how hard is it going to be to rank? Is it, how hard is it going to be? Like this one's going to be easier to rank for than just straight Social Security disability. The other thing when it comes to SEO, we're going to focus mostly on local. But, when you're doing local, it's a lot easier to get results a lot quicker than when you're doing national or multinational search engine optimization. Because this is talking on a national level. You're competing with a lot of other people compared to just the people you're competing with in your area. All right, so I wanted to show you. So one thing that comes up a lot is people want to know, they say, well, I'm located, like, let's say this client here, dental sleep apnea clinic. I've been working with him for a couple of years now, and he's located actually in Portland. Because if we come here and we look, we can see his address is in Portland. So the easiest is going to be to rank him in Portland because that's where he's physically located, and he doesn't have other offices in other areas. So Portland is the easy one. So a lot of people want to go, well, I want to rank in 6 or 10 different cities. Well, it's possible, but it takes time. And it's always easy, so we always start with exactly where they're at and then build our way out. And I wanted to show you a couple of examples here. So here's sleep apnea, which is a pretty generic term, right, for Portland. And you can see here he is, number 3. So here's an example of what they typically show is just 3 listings, local listings. And then here's his website, number 2. So you're going to see him here, number 3, and then his website coming on number 2 in the listings here. And that's behind the big, college here as well. Now, he's in Portland, so that was the easier part to do. Now, Beaverton is the adjacent town for people that know the Portland area. You can see here's Portland, and he sits right here on the border, and he's right here on. So he's looking for Beaverton and Portland area. That's what he's looking for. So you can see if I type in again generic, it doesn't have it doesn't say sleep apnea devices or sleep apnea dentist or sleep apnea relief. This is more of a short tail, but I'm just looking locally in Beaverton. Here we are. We've got him ranked number 1 in the places, and here he is number 4. And again, this changes week to week, a little up, a little down. Sometimes we get big drops, sometimes we have big rises. But you can see here. So this is an example of ranking in multiple cities. And one of the things that we do on our monthly reports, so typically in the beginning of the month, what I will do is I will report on the previous month, and I'll do a video, and I'll include these reports. And we typically, for one client, will at least usually have 3, 4, sometimes even more reports, because we target different ways. We target by location, we target by geotagging, which means by putting the actual location as part of the search term, and we set up different reports because we want to make sure that if a lot of times they're very consistent. They're not always exactly the same, but there's a consistency. Oh, they're up, they're down. We're ranking well, we're not ranking well. But sometimes one report will just go off and skew in an opposite direction. So we want to make sure that we're looking at, we want to be able to make sure that we're getting accurate results. And we check these on a weekly basis as well as their analytics. I don't have an example of analytics here, but in Google basically monitors everything. And we can tell how many hits you're getting, how many new users, how long they're staying on the site, how many pages they're seeing, what pages they're seeing, what devices are coming from, what's their age, what's their location, what's their gender. I mean, there's all these things Google is monitoring and allows us to report on. So we look on a weekly basis. Once we've done the setup, we then monitor on a weekly basis, make minor adjustments, because we don't want to make 10 different adjustments and then all of a sudden everything goes to hell, and then it's like, well, what was it? So we make 1 or 2 adjustments, watch it for a week or 2, continue to make adjustments, because again, it is fluid. It's not like once you go on page 1, you're always going to be there, because there's other people there. Your competition is also hiring people, agencies like ours, to do the same thing. So there's that competition. So I wanted to show you what we look at is trends up. So here you can see this is a monthly report, because I can compare weekly or I can look at monthly. So in the monthly reports that we provide with video explaining everything, you can see here the trend is up. So with Google, there was 52 rankings that moved up, 31 new ones came in, with only 12 going down and 40 holding. So that's a good month. That's a really good month. Same with mobile. Mobile, typically, depending on the business, will generate usually 30–40%, or sometimes like restaurants. Restaurants, you're like looking at 70–80, sometimes even more percent are coming in off of mobile. So Google Mobile, we have to break it out, and we look, and you can see here this was another good month. 54 going up, plus 29 new ones coming in, with just 13 down and 35 holding. So we look at those overall trends, and then besides, you can see here this is Beaverton. So with him, we're looking for organic, number one. Here's one that moved up from 7 up to number 1. And we're also looking for a location. So we are looking to be in those top 3. And with him, you can see here we've got a lot, and I'm just scrolling very quickly. But you can see these are all different types of keywords that are relevant. And all of these so far are on page 1, We're still on page one. I'm just going to just get to the bottom. We've got a couple down here that we're just starting to rank for as well. So almost every one of his keywords that we're targeting, we've gotten up to page one. And that's for Beaverton. And he's not even in Beaverton. He's physically in Portland. And the same thing for the Portland report here. You can see the same thing. Number one, and the first page, and again, I know I'm just going very quickly, but you can stop the webinar if you're watching it on a recording and just see, and you'll see, now there's always going to be movement up, as an example here. This one moved up from 15, from page 2 up to page 1, but then there's always going to be drops. So it's just like stocks, there's always ups and downs. What we're looking for is that overall gain on a monthly basis. And here he's got a few that aren't ranking at all in the top 50. All right. Any questions, Vince, from you or any comments before I jump into another example?
Well, one comment I was going to make is having that right there, what happens in the SEO world, the reason why, people have bad experiences is some people come in there and they'll promise they'll do the SEO and they don't rank them. And so having this tool right here and showing where they're actually ranking on the pages, that's a very big selling point going into the product because, for example, Dr. Funk, he had some very, very bad experiences when it came to SEO. And so we did all these other things, but he was always like, no, I don't want to do SEO. I don't want to do SEO. I've been burned and they'll just take my money and all that. And I said, when I showed him this, I said, look, we can track where you're at on the pages and how you're climbing. When he heard that, his whole attitude changed, right, Dr. Franklin? And we recently just I sold him, and this was the very thing right here. Because when you can show them where they're at and how they're climbing, because a lot of it, they say, like when they're going to go into people get left in the dark, and that's what they don't like, being left in the dark for 6 months to a year, and or they'll look like they're just hoping to get placed in maybe one place, like maybe Chiropractor Roseville, but they don't realize that they could be placed in all these other locations. So when they search, they don't see it. So if you don't have eyes in the sky like this, then they just don't know what's happening. But if they see what's happening, and they can see month to month what's happening and how it's climbing, they're like, wow, then they'll stick with it. It brings great accountability, and it's just a game changer when it comes to SEO. So this right here, what you're looking at, really is a huge selling piece for those of you that are new to it. You can go in there and confidently say, hey, we can show you where you're at, and then also where you're going to end up and how you're climbing. You can add to that, Franklin?
Yes. So in addition. So in the monthly updates that we do, and it's all with video, and I try to keep it 5 to 10 minutes. And in that, again, I cover the reports. Now, the reports I do send to the client, that's all that I typically will send them. Sometimes a little more, but because I don't want to overwhelm them with a bunch of things that they don't really care about. So I want to give them what they're going to care about, and it's rankings. And in the reports too, or in the video reports, I'll also show them real-world examples. So I can show them, here's what's shown on the report, and here's the real-world example, so you can see that report is accurate. And so I'll give them both examples of that. So what I want to jump into, so let's come back here. So the first piece is getting that setup going. We do search term, which I covered at the very beginning. We record the results. So as in Dr. Funk's, we've created a baseline now. And so his first reportings are showing the baseline. Here's what you're ranking for, and here's what you're not ranking for. We do a competitive analysis with that baseline report, and then again, here's the video analysis. Then we set up Google My Business, make sure that the other local listings are properly set up. In particular, Bing and Yahoo are going to be the next two biggest ones. We make sure the analytics. Analytics is a huge piece, because if you're not measuring, then how do you know how you're performing? And again, like I mentioned earlier, with analytics, there's just so many variables that they're monitoring, and there's a thing called user flow, which actually shows visually how people are flowing from one page to another. So being able to monitor all this, measure all this stuff, so we make sure that's all set up. There's a couple other technical things that we do, and then on a monthly basis, as we're monitoring the rank tracking reports and also our Google Analytics and making adjustments. And then we have the reports as well that we do. And so what I want to cover now is I want to show you, So there's two major components of SEO. There's on-page and there's off-page. On-page SEO has become more and more important, and you'll see there's companies like HubSpot that are banking everything pretty much on-page and content, having content drive SEO. And it's important, it's super important, but we do both. We do on-page and we do off-site, or off-page, meaning that we have backlinks. And backlinks, in a nutshell, like I mentioned earlier, are links from other sites. Now, Google doesn't care how many you have. What they'll look at is the quality that you have, the quality where they're coming from, and the trustability of those. So we actually use a service that is, now typically the way most services work is that you throw out, let's say, 1,000 backlinks, maybe half will stick, and then over time maybe a third of those will stick, and you don't know what the quality of them are depending on the service. Where the service that we use, they use what's called a private blog network, and I'm not going to go into detail, but it's dynamic, and we've been using this service for a couple of years. So we set up the campaigns, and then as we monitor or Google makes changes, we can actually go back into our campaigns and change the links and the ratios, because typically we'll do 50% of links to the home page, then we'll do about 20% of the links to the subpages, then we do about 15% of the links to locations, and then we do another 15% what are called random anchor text, which are called like click here and learn more, those kind of things that would organically come in, because we need Google to think that we're not trying to scam them or spam them, but that these are natural, relevant links. And so that's the game that we play with Google. And so those are really important, and again, we can change those dynamically, which there's only once we've been using the service for a couple of years now, and they're the only ones I know of out there that do that. Because the problem is, like with Dr. Funk, what we found is it looks like he had been spammed with a bunch of bad backlinks. And so now we've got to remove those. We've got to, which is a process, and it takes time. But those also could have come from someone who maybe had done SEO from before and didn't provide quality links. So now he's got all these spammy, bad, low-value links that Google looks at and goes, well, these are clearly a scam. We're going to not rank him based on this. Or it could even affect you and get you de-indexed, which is rare these days, but it can happen. So what I wanted to show you on page, so let's talk about on page. So the first thing is making sure that the content has, like here, so he's a chiropractor. So chiropractic is one of the keywords. Chiropractor and chiropractic, those are the two tops, and variations thereof, right, are the top search terms. So we want to make sure that we have pages that have good titles, because one of the things Google looks at first is what's in the menu, because the menu is what you think is most important. So what's in the menu? What is chiropractic? Auto accidents, right? That's another thing that he does, massage, making sure that your keywords are in the menu and that you're using them, and that you have really strong, relevant content that uses those keywords but not overuses them, so that Google thinks that you're trying to, again, scam them or spam them. And then behind the scenes, what we do, so you're actually looking at that page behind the scenes, is there's a number of plugins out there that do this kind of stuff, but the one in particular we use, it allows us to change the title, because what this plugin will do is it automatically will generate titles, but it allows us to hear what is chiropractic, and then we have Beaverton, which is location, and then we restate chiropractor, so we have two strong keywords with location that's part of our title, instead of it just defaulting to, a lot of people don't even pay attention to titles, and they'll just kind of default to what's in the content or no title at all. And then the description, again, we put in keywords, but we put them in a way that people can read them, because when people search, let's come here, see here, people search, this is what they're going to see. So they're going to see the title here, and then they're going to see that description. So it's really, really important, because this description is going to pull people in, And it's also telling Google, you'll see here, look, they've got chiropractic highlighted because that's what I searched for. Or actually, I searched for chiropractors. But they're actually highlighting chiropractor, Beaverton, so they're highlighting relevant keywords so that you can tell that Google is paying attention, because I'm not highlighting. This is Google doing all this. So that's why it's really important to make sure that this is all optimized, because Google's putting a lot of weight on content because they want people to have good experiences. So if people come to your site and they can't find what they want and they exit real quick, Google compared. So if your business and your main competitor, everything's equal except your website doesn't engage and theirs does, and people come in their website and they stay on their site for 3-4 pages, they stay for a couple minutes. Yours, they exit right out. They're not looking at. Google's going to rank your competitor higher because people are engaging, and they want people to find engaging content. Because if they don't, then they're not going to use Google, right? So it's to Google's advantage to make sure that they're ranking strong sites and not spammy sites. The other thing that we do, so that's the page. So then at this point with this client here, what we're doing now is we're adding content, and a really easy way to do that is through blog posts. And here you can see, we're using strong key. Here's that chiropractic again, chiropractic adjustments. And on the back end, here's the actual post. So we want to make sure that the post has strong keywords, headaches, chiropractic adjustments, with links. And you can see here we're also linking to other places within our site. Here you go. And then we always end them with a strong call to action with the keyword chiropractic adjustment, Beaverton, and with links back to ourselves. And here's that tool again, and then we can adjust these so that they're also optimized. So that's on page. And then we have the backlinks, which I'm not, I've described to you. I'm not going to dig into that system and show you, but so then we're generating backlinks for them as well. So the combined efforts, and sometimes we actually will stop the backlinks to monitor to see what goes on, or sometimes we'll do the opposite, where we'll stop on-page optimization so we can see how the backlinks are going. And again, it depends on what's happening in that week. Here's his top keywords. You can see, let's see, we're looking at the last week. You can see that it was a good week overall, up for Google 8. No new ones coming in, only one down with 5 holding. Mobile is very similar, and maps is also important. And these are just the top keywords that we have. Chiropractor adjustment, chiropractors, you can see moved up from 10 to 9. So these are all first page, first page, first page. Typically 13 is the bottom of the first page, and then you got a couple here that are on the second page. This one actually dropped a little, just slightly. So we've got the majority of his top keywords on the first page, like I was showing you earlier. Here's let's see. So these are the same. But that's why I had this one, because I'm going to show you that sometimes Google doesn't put paid traffic up top, right? So in this particular case, they put the paid traffic, they put their ads up top, and they'll put typically 3 to 4. But in this case, they didn't. Basically, I hit refresh, and now they're not putting. So that's why it's important, even if you're doing paid traffic, to have the SEO, because here he is. He came up number 2, and here's the website in the middle of the first page. And then you can see here, besides the top keywords report, this is another report with all different variations. He does TMJ, he does headaches. So we've got these are all first page. And again, I'm just going to scroll real quickly through them. We're still first page. And again, we're looking for organic. Here's number 6, chiropractic therapy, Chiro Beaverton. Number 7, that one was holding from last week. First page. Now we're getting to the bottom of the first page, and now we're moving into second page. And you can see he's got about a third of his keywords are still second page or not even ranking. We've been working together for a while, so you see it's a process to get a lot of words ranking. But with Dr. Walker here, or Dr. Guard rather, at Walker Road Chiropractic, we've got the majority, and we've got the main keywords, the ones that are driving the most traffic. Because that's one other thing I want to add too, is I've seen other systems out there where people go, I guarantee it will get you ranked number 1. And they get first page rankings, but they're for just meaningless keywords, just keywords that will drive very little or no traffic. And as opposed to the ones like I was showing you earlier on this other report, chiropractor, chiropractic adjustment, chiropractors, huge, right? 720 just for this area, and he's ranking on the first page. So, anything to add or questions, Vince?
Yeah, so hopefully you guys can see that we're digging into the basics of this and really digging in, because we're showing you what others don't do. Like they'll do like what they call the black hat, like they don't do the good backlinking. And you can see there's a lot that goes into this. And when you have someone like Franklin, his company, that knows what they're doing, these are the results. And then when you can show the tracking of it and then the back work on the back end of the website, then this is the stuff that makes a difference. And this is, for either someone that wants to have their website get ranked higher, or if you're selling this product, this is very important information to know. This is the stuff that makes a difference, and this is where Agora stands out. Because some people, they want to hire some kid out of college and, make all these promises, but they don't do a robust job. And in the long run, the company doesn't get where they want to go, and that's what causes the bad feedback from some. And this one right here, SEO probably is where people who have been burned the most, because paid traffic you can pretty much track, and we showed you how it's the pitfalls of that. But this right here is where people spend thousands and thousands of dollars, promise to get on the first page of Google, and then they're told it takes 6 months, a year, and they don't get there, and then they just get upset that they wasted all that money.
Yeah, and search engine optimization is hard. It's one of the hardest things we do, because Google has the black box, and they let us see into it a little bit, but it's still, we're always chasing their tail, trying to figure out what they're doing, what they changed, how do we need to adjust. I just wanted to take a minute here and finish with the analytics piece, because this is, as far as the reporting, this is one of the pieces that I report. So I always compare, to the previous month, and here's an example: White Lotus in Reno, and here, just looking at the last 30 days compared to previous, I look at channels. I want to make sure, I want to see how people are coming in, and the majority of the people are coming in through organic search for them. And you can see here for users, we had 134 users compared to 125 the month before, 7% increase. New users, 129 compared to 118. That's a 9% increase. This is really, how many people are we getting new? This is a really strong, significant metric here. The bounce rate, meaning how many people go on to another page. So typically you want your bounce rate to be 50% or less. So they're at 48%, meaning that 51+% are moving on to an average of 2.4 pages, spending about 2 minutes on the site. And so this is just one of the different things that we show. We look at to see where they're coming in from. 95% of the time, the top one's going to be Google. So here it is. There's Google. Google's the big one. You can see here Bing and Yahoo are driving in very little traffic as compared to Google. So Google's the main one, looking at, and there's a lot of other things that we can look at, depending what's going on that month. Sometimes I'll show, what pages are ranking, or no, not ranking, I'm sorry, what pages are getting the most traffic, because if we look at pages are getting traffic, and we go, wow, we didn't realize that so many people were going to the like About Us page. So that means we really need to focus on optimizing that page so that people will then go and move on to the site and hopefully call or fill out the contact form, take some action to take that next step in becoming a new customer for them. So there's a lot of things going on here. We can actually see by users. Now we don't know who the user was, but we can see how they're moving through the site. We can see in real time what's going on with the site. I mean, there's just so much stuff that it's kind of scary, actually, the amount of stuff that Google's tracking on us. You know, and this is a great one too. This is another one that, you know, I'll review with my clients occasionally because it just shows you how people are coming in. So the majority coming in, and then how they're flowing. So, you know, this is the majority of people coming in on their home page. And then look at this. The next page, the next most interactive page is Contact Us. Well, that's a really good sign. That means people are getting excited from the first page, from the home page, and moving right into like, yeah, I'm ready to move forward. Discounts. Here's another example, right? You look and you see, oh, then the second page, the most frequent in page in that first interaction is discounts. Well, that tells us that we got to make sure our discounts are relevant and fresh and engaging. And then, you know, and then you can see what sites or what pages they move on to in their second, when they go to second. And here's another one, discounts. Okay, there's another indication that discounts is really important. And then testimonials. So you can see, and it goes for, you know, you keep going for on and on and on. But it shows you the flow. And so these are some of the things that, you know, I don't cover everything all the time in every update because, again, I try to keep it 5-10 minutes. Business owners are busy. They, you know, they want to know, you know, typically I'll start out with either the ranking reports, here's what we're doing, and then move into traffic, or I'll start it right with traffic. Okay, here, we've got an increase this month, and then let me show you how we got it and what's going on behind the scenes. So hopefully that's helpful as far as seeing those analytics.
Yeah, that's powerful. And another big selling point is the videos that are produced. One, we have the video where, you know, we show them where they're at, where they're at right now, and what the potential on Google is, what their competition's doing. But these updates monthly are very, very powerful. You know, when you got someone that, you know, can get a quick update with a video, because you just send them sheets, they don't totally understand those. But if you get a quick little video and someone explain it, it makes all the difference in the world. You know, and we go month to month, we don't put people in contracts. So when we look at some of the competition, a lot of the competition will put someone in a 6-month to a year contract, tell them they need to pay, you know, $2,000 a month, maybe even more, and then promise that this is going to happen, and then it doesn't happen, and they don't get the updates. They don't really know what's going on. They say, no, we're still working on it. It'll get there, you know. But the bottom line, as good as all this is, and as great as all these things are, the business owner just wants his phone to ring. He just wants calls, right?
That's the bottom
so
line,
we work at, because we could show them forms and stats and everything, but it's when you get clients that, like, for instance, Dr. Funk, he tells me, Vince, every single day people call me, I get new customers, and they tell me they love my website. So that tells me more to it than just putting this all together. He's actually gotten some results, and he's getting results on a regular basis, and that's actually what counts. So we stay in contact with the business owner, and we get feedback, because we can look at all this stuff, but in the long run, we have to look at that feedback, because that feedback plays a real crucial role in all this.
Okay, so I wanted to cover the plans, because this is the final piece, right? And so we've got, you see where we've got the 6 plans. Really, to be competitive, I tell local businesses, look, if you want to be competitive, you really need to come in on the Pro plan, because that's going to get you the results the fastest, or faster compared to the value of the starter. Use it for businesses that just kind of want to put their toe in the water, make sure it's warm, make sure there's water before they really jump in. But it's going to take longer, and I tell them, you know, you're probably going to end up spending more money because it's a slower process here. But we do offer these, and I have had a couple clients, you know, come in on these. But typically, most clients that are serious are going to come in on the Pro level. For national SEO, you really need to come in on the Gold level, because they're competing against a much larger audience, and we need to be aggressive. And then the Platinum and the Signature are just way more aggressive on that. And a lot of it is the number of backlinks that we're building and how much time we're spending optimizing the content. And that's really and just in a nutshell what it is. So as far as and then they also get support hours, meaning that, you know, I make sure that their website is, if something happens to their website, or it's not us updating their website with content. This is more, they have a problem with the site, or if the site goes down, you know, I will help them to get it back up, those kind of things. So the support hours, they do get a couple of support hours. Again, the pro is typically where a local business will want to come in, and so the first month and the setup fee is the $694, and then it's $397 a month afterwards. So, like Vince mentioned earlier, the initial cost is up front is more, because I tell them, look, you gotta, depending on your business, you gotta at least figure out you're going to take 3 to 6 months to start seeing any results from these, and it could be more depending if you're an attorney or you know, a business that's very, very competitive, and there's a lot of them, and so it's going to take time. But once we get those rankings, like the ones I've showed you, now that cost per click has come down, because now the SEO is generating clicks. So with paid traffic, let me come back to here. So like with Walker Road, we also do paid traffic for them, but you see in this particular search, they didn't show. So the problem with paid traffic is that it's a great way to get traffic quickly, but it's, you know, it depends on your budget. You know, like they may have already hit their budget today, so that's not why they're showing. So it's like they ran out of money for the day, they've got a number of clicks, they've run out of money, and now it's like they put a close sign on their door and left. As opposed to the SEO piece, they're still here, and they're going to be here 24/7. It's not contingent on if they've hit their budget. So that's the advantage to the click. So overall, in, you know, like with stocks, you know, the overall bet investment, you're going to get a better rate of return with SEO overall in the long term. But again, it is a long-term solution, and you have to be ready for it. You know, and if clients, you know, like I said, we do have these other plans which are cheaper, but this is really to be competitive and to get the results that's going to make them happy. This is really where I recommend coming in. And then for the national, you know, coming in on the gold package. Now you can do national on the pro. We've got one client that just came in recently, and we're getting results, but it takes longer, because you see here, even we're doing, you know, we're targeting almost double the backlinks, so we're being way more aggressive, and that's $597 a month, with the first month being $994, and again, it's month to month. So our job is to get them results and to show them the results. And like you said, Vince, if that phone's not ringing, it doesn't matter how they're ranking or what's going on. If we're not converting, you know, which is another piece, which is the website, right? But so our job is to get their phones ringing, get them new clients, get them people engaging with their business, and this is how we do the SEO.
And to add to that, when we talk about the phone ringing, when, you know, we're able to track the responses, like he showed you back there, like what pages people are going to, or the paid traffic campaign, you know, and then if we see that a website's getting traffic, but it's not converting into new customers, then we know there's a problem with the website. And then therefore that's where you got to work on the website. And then also having a WordPress is very valuable as far as the website goes. So a lot of times when you work with SEO, you know, companies usually need to get a new website if they're not ranking. They've either done it in HTML or some company didn't do it right. And then all the strategies that we teach with the 5 pillars of the internet, you know, having the videos, having the reviews, your call to action, studying your competition, looking at your offers, all that plays a really big role, because they will look at 3 to 4 different competitors before they choose you probably. And they're looking for reviews, they're looking for deals, they're looking for specials, they're looking what the community thinks about you. And they're also looking just for the look and feel of your website. You know, they judge your company based upon the look and feel of your website almost immediately. All these things play a role, but the SEO plays such a valuable role. That's why I want to have this call. So thank you, Franklin. There was one question here which we kind of just answered.
Yeah, and
are you able to give the customers?
Yeah, and I just want to add on that, Vince, the likelihood of success. You know, SEO is not for every business. Sometimes there's just not enough search volume. Sometimes they don't, you know, if they can't afford to compete, then it's not for them, and then it depends on the business too. Like, there's just some businesses like realtors and stuff that are so niche, and there's so many other, like they've got the Zillows and all the other specialized sites that, SEO is not, it's not for everyone, but it can help out most businesses. And then with the analysis that we do, which I think you wanted to mention, you had mentioned it briefly at the beginning, was that free traffic analysis. That will determine what the opportunity for the search engine optimization is.
Yeah. And you can pick up some really large clients. Like, when we did Yellow Pages, we said which companies buy the full pages, right? And that was the lawyers, the heating and air, the pest control. So those are the companies I went after. We just recently landed a deal with a heating and air company, one of the reps in Agora, and they're going to be on that signature, that 997 right there. They're going to we're going to get them on the SEO for that, and also the paid traffic campaign for that. So, you can land some really big clients, or you can climb them up. So don't always think small. Some people think small, but think large. Get around the heating and air. One thing we used to do is, if you see a guy driving around, you see a heating and air truck or a pest control or something like that, we used to grab those numbers and just call them right off of their trucks and call them, because a lot of times those guys that are working out of their homes or just starting up are the ones that need it the most, and they're the easiest ones to convert. So so if you're driving down the road and you see someone, it'll pull up. Sometimes, frankly, when you're logged in, the form won't show up, but it will show up when you're not logged in. So yeah, just get the form filled out on here. This will populate when you're on there. Sometimes we're doing the call, doesn't populate. But thank you everyone for being on the call. Very exciting, and Franklin, thank you, did a very good job.